Howdy folks, Tom Bartley, also known as Monty, here doing another review, this time for a role-playing game, Tales from the Wood role-playing game. Now look, I purchased 4 role-playing games on Lulu recently, just to get a sense of what was available on Lulu. Truth be told, my, gosh, if I was really smart, yes I do have a copy. My Field of Chaos, the game, will be coming out on Lulu shortly, so I throw that one aside. I picked up the editions on Lulu purely to see what the competition was. This is actually the weakest part of the rulebook. I really think the cover, in part the black on kind of dark background, is the weakest part of the rule set. I thought aside from this, this is a really charming role-playing game. In fact, it was so charming that my wife is normally quite anti-associated with these kind of things, but she actually really enjoyed Tales from the Wood. So anyway, in terms of role-playing games available on Lulu, this is actually probably one of the better laid out copies. I don't like the font. I think the font's a little bit too small. But basically it lays out a role-playing game environment where you play a critter, or a gnome, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, in the woods. And you have what is called a gamekeeper, which is the equivalent of, I guess, a games master, and various descriptions associated with the woods. I found this really charming. So anyway, it talks about the kinds of creatures that you could be, the various traits associated with the creatures, the laws associated with the creatures. So I mean, obviously you have, you know, field and game and man and marsh and mountain and all these kind of laws. And it's just a beautifully laid out set of rules. And then you get to the different creatures you can play. You can be a frog, a gnome, I'm not too fussed about the gnome, warthog, vole, mouse, rabbit, robin, shrew, sparrow, squirrel, toad, vole, or even a water vole, and I just think this is a really charming rule set. I mean, it talks a lot about the various kinds of creatures, their problems, not a huge fan of the gnome, but anyway, hedgehog, these kind of things, and, you know, the various characteristics, and you play them as a role-playing game character. The special abilities that they have, the laws, these kind of things. I've just explained the game, and the only additional stuff is really, I guess, associated with the enemies of the creatures and guns and poisons and cars and fire, and basically all the terminology and the gamekeeper's creatures, which are like the kind of monster manual of creatures that kestrels and pikes and otters and newts and all this kind of stuff. But I think in general, really large creatures as well, like moose and all this kind of stuff. The only thing I will say, I think it's the buzzard here. Let's see if the buzzard is about. The buzzard was just like ridiculously small, I seem to recall. Badger, other creatures, badger. I don't see buzzard here. I remember when I read through the rules that when I got to the buzzard, I was just like, it has like a 2-foot wingspan. So I think the fellow actually comes from the UK who made this, so probably didn't really have a connection with buzzards. So I can probably understand his general sense of lack of buzzard-related knowledge. I'm assuming it was written by a man. Yes, Simon. And yeah, so anyway, really short review here, but Tales from the Wood, I think it was under 20. I want to say it might have been $12, perhaps. I'm not sure, on Lulu. But a very nice little role-playing game set. I've not played it yet, but the wife is certainly interested. So, yeah, we may actually have a game or two of Tales from the Wood. I think it's worth the money. I think it's an absolutely darling rule set, actually. So yeah, for me, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Learn a buzzard's wingspan, and not too fussed about the gnome. Played under house rules, no gnomes. Anyway, but Tom Bartley, aka Monty, in Las Vegas, Nevada, signing out.